Alaska cruises are changing in 2026, and there are a few things first-timers really need to know before they book. Alaska is one of the most expensive and most bucket list cruises people will ever plan, and it's also one of the easiest to get wrong. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now I have to tell you, when I first went to Alaska about 3 years ago on a cruise, I thought it would be one and done. But then last year we did an Alaska cruise, really did enjoy it, but it was a little bit different than the first time. And this year we actually have 2 different Alaska cruises planned in different months. And something that I realized is Alaska does take a different level of planning, and there are some super important things to know. So in this video, I'm sharing the Alaska cruise mistakes to avoid, the tips and tricks that will make your cruise better, and the things that I really wish somebody had told me before my first Alaska cruise. And one piece of advice that I got before my last cruise, I am so glad that I didn't listen to it. At first, I thought they were probably right, but it turned out to be one of the biggest and best surprises of our trip. Now, before I get started, I did want to mention that if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give this video a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. Alaska cruises this year. Now, even if this is not your first time going on an Alaska cruise, something that you should know is there are some pretty significant changes for Alaska cruises in 2026 for a couple of reasons. Now, one of them is pretty important as it does have to do with the itineraries and glacier viewing. We have several cruise lines that have announced changes to their itinerary. They are replacing Tracy Arm with Endicott Arm and Dawes Glacier due to a 2025 landslide. Alaska is also expected to be busier this season with more ships and new cruise lines sailing. Now we have Princess Cruises with 8 ships sailing this year, including the new Star Princess, and we have 2 cruise lines that are sailing to Alaska for the first time, MSC Cruises and Virgin Voyages, which means more choice for cruisers. Now, a mistake that a lot of people make when it comes to Alaska cruises is just not knowing what to expect. And part of this sometimes is the fact that a lot of people associate cruising with Caribbean and Bahamas cruising, whether it's their first cruise or they've been on cruises before. But the vibe is so different. And this doesn't mean it's a bad thing. But you know, those frozen cocktails on the pool deck and those deck parties and that sort of carefree type of feeling that you have on a Caribbean cruise, it really is a different type of vibe. Alaska cruises are all about the ports, all about the landscape, all about the scenery, all about taking in that wildlife, and even to a certain extent, even some of the enrichment talks and the activities that support the Alaska cruise itinerary. Oh, and by the way, something that I never expected, but is something that I almost dream about right now, and I cannot wait to get back to Alaska for, is that the air actually smells fresh. Your cruise ship matters, but this isn't one size fits all. And of course, there is no bad choice that you can make. Now, the first time that we did an Alaska cruise, we did this with Holland America on Koningsdam. I absolutely loved this mid-sized cruise ship. And one of the really nice things about Holland America is the focus on enrichment. I also liked the covered pool. There were so many things that we loved. But last year, we did a princess cruise on Discovery Princess, and we found the atmosphere to be just a little bit more energetic, and we also appreciated that. Now, when it comes to the activities on board, maybe you want to choose a Royal Caribbean cruise, or a Norwegian Cruise Line cruise, or even a Disney cruise that has different activities and onboard attractions. Your cruise itinerary matters, but not in the way that you might think. Now, at first glance, all the Alaska itineraries look pretty similar. And I would say this about a lot of itineraries in the Caribbean, Mediterranean, etc. But something really important to look at is actually how many hours you are in port and what time you are getting to port. Now, I have a preference of the longest days possible during the daylight hours between like 9 a.m. and 5 or so p.m. because I know for me, that is likely when I'm going to be off the ship. And where is your ship going to be docked? Now, depending on the cruise port, your ship may be docked closer or further from the main part of town that you'll want to get off the cruise ship and walk around in. Now, in particular, one of the ports to watch out for is Ketchikan, where Norwegian Cruise Line actually docks at Ward Cove, which is probably about 15 minutes or so from the downtown area. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing. And if you're booking your excursions through the cruise line, you'll get right off the ship and you'll pick up your excursion right there. But it is something important to plan for, because if you do go off on your own, you want to allow that extra time to get back and at least make sure that you know the port where you're heading. Now, something that I didn't know before my first Alaska cruise, or at least just didn't realize, is that a glacier viewing day is not a regular sea day. I just sort of thought that we'd go about viewing the glaciers while we would do the other things on the cruise ship. Not so. This is definitely a huge highlight of an Alaska cruise, and you want to be prepared. So first, it starts early in the morning. So you want to make sure that you do go to bed early the night before and set an alarm for about 5 a.m. or 5:30 a.m. because glacier viewing starts as early as 6 a.m. And it really is something to see. Now, while you will see the glaciers and the calving and hear all of those sounds, the other thing that is happening on those days is on the outer decks, as well as inside the cruise ship, you'll have park rangers that are often on board, and they may be speaking over the intercom and letting people know what to look for, and even speaking one-on-one with the guests. Now, something that you'll also want to look for is they will be serving some warm or hot beverages out on the decks. That can be hot chocolate, that can be sort of some spiked coffee, or in the case of Holland America, some Dutch pea soup. Now, many cruise ships actually open up the bow of the cruise ship exceptionally for that day. And in my view, this is a very unique experience that is worth going to. But beyond this, you're going to find some incredible views on the sides of the ship, on the aft of the ship. Oh, and by the way, the ship does rotate. So do not overstress. If you've been spending time even on your balcony to view this, you will get a chance. Now, speaking of balconies, is it worth it to get a balcony on an Alaska cruise? In my view, yes, it is actually worth it. Even despite the weather being cool at, many times of the year, it is Alaska after all. I did find, and I'm not a super outdoorsy person, by the way, but I spent a lot of time on the balcony and I really did enjoy it. But beyond actually the balcony itself, what I really liked even was from like in my bed is I would be able to see scenery almost the entire time of my cruise. And I am going to talk about the daylight hours in just a minute, but I really did find at least seeing outside was very worth it for me. So I do have a caveat. Depending on what your budget is and what the prices are like, the alternative is an ocean view cabin. And honestly, I think that is a very, very good alternative. You still will get those views. And if you're somebody who you probably won't use the balcony very much anyway, this is definitely something to do. Now, should you get an inside cabin, if you are somebody who can set an alarm and knows that you will leave the cabin and you will go to some of the different observation areas around the cruise ship, absolutely, there is nothing wrong with this. And in that case, you could put the money saved towards excursions and other things that you really value. Wildlife. Now, a lot of people wonder, am I going to see wildlife in Alaska? So absolutely. In fact, one of the things that surprised me when we did a Norway cruise, because oftentimes Norway and Alaska are compared, is there was not a lot of wildlife in Norway, but there is quite a lot in Alaska. Now, what you are going to see first is while you're on the ship, yes, you can see whales. You might even see dolphins, and you'll see otters, and you will see seals. I absolutely love this. You can also see on the shoreline, even on those glacier days, we actually saw like some bears. The park ranger did announce it, which made it a lot easier. But if you are really good and you're very observant, you're going to find these on your own. Now, something really important is make sure that you do pack some travel binoculars. Now, I have a very lightweight pair that actually is really good for the price. I will leave that along with like other Alaska cruise essentials. I'll leave that packing list down below in the description as well as a pinned comment. Now, I do have some quick points to go through. If you are prone to seasickness, it is a good idea to do an inside passage cruise. So those are the cruises that leave from Seattle or Vancouver. The itineraries that leave from Vancouver and go north to Alaska or vice versa are absolutely wonderful, and you will have a chance to go a little further into Alaska, but unfortunately, those seas do have a chance of being a little bit more rough. Acclimating to Alaska and the time difference. Now, Alaska for a lot of people is going to have a time difference. Now, in my case, I am in the Eastern time zone, so Vancouver and Seattle are a 3-hour time difference for me, and Alaska is a 4-hour time difference. Now, one of the other reasons that it is a little bit challenging to get used to that time difference is the fact that once you're in Alaska, the days are very long. So we are talking about it only getting dark somewhere after 10 p.m. or later during the summer and getting light as early as 4 a.m. Now, something that I suggest is flying in not only one day early, as you always should for every single cruise, but consider flying in 2 days early if your time allows. Now, Seattle and Vancouver are both amazing places to visit. In our experience, both Vancouver and Seattle had some great sights to see, foods to eat, and places to explore. Now, by the way, if you're planning your Alaska cruise and you want to make sure that you do not forget a thing, I do have the LifeWell Cruised Ultimate Cruise Planner. Now, the LifeWell Cruised Ultimate Cruise Planner is a 47-page downloadable printable cruise planner that will help you to stay organized from the time that you book your cruise all the way through embarkation and disembarkation. Now, it includes cruise packing lists, cruise shore excursion planning forms, cruise checklists, cruise budget planning forms, and more. And the best part is, since it is downloadable and printable, you can print out only the pages that you want for as many cruises as you go on. Now, I'll leave all of the information about the LifeWell Cruise Ultimate Cruise Planner down below in the description of this video, as well as a pinned comment in case you want to check that out. Not being prepared with the right clothing, shoes, and gear. Now, when I see people ask questions about Alaska, oftentimes the biggest concern is, what do I wear and how do I pack? So there are a couple of things to know. If you are like me and you do not want to be cold in Alaska, then what you'll want to do is pack a thin water repellent puffer jacket. Now, you do not need a thick winter coat, but you do need something that will keep the dampness out and keep you warm on those cooler days. Now, we've been to Alaska in the month of May and the beginning of July, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything because the temperature really can vary. That being said, the month of May is cooler. The temperatures were generally in the low 50s, and we were even sort of in the mid to high 40s on our Glacier viewing day. Whereas when we visited in early July, it was pretty much in the low to high 60s. But our Glacier viewing day, still cold. Now, I do have an entire video about what to pack for an Alaska cruise, so I will leave that at the end of this video. But a couple of other things to think about is just layering your outfits. It actually sounds more complicated than it is. When it comes to your upper wear or your tops, you just have to think that you want either a long or a short sleeve t-shirt underneath your first layer. Then you want sort of a hoodie or a fleece sweatshirt. And then after that, either your vest or your light puffer jacket or raincoat. Speaking of raincoats, pack a raincoat or a poncho. This is definitely something that is a must. Alaska is actually a rainforest, and it is almost guaranteed that it will rain at least one day during your cruise, and you do not want it to ruin your vacation. Other things that you might want to pack is a windproof umbrella. The windproof is very important, and some light rain pants to go over any jeans. And when it comes to shoes, you can bring waterproof hiking boots. But the other thing is, if you're not planning to hike or anything like that, something that I suggest is just making sure that you have like 2 sneakers, because it is possible that one pair gets wet one day and you want to make sure that you have other comfortable sneakers to wear either on the ship or even in the port the next day that are dry. Now, I would love to hear from you. If there are other things that you think people should pack for an Alaska cruise, please do leave that in the comments below. Consider getting a thermal spa pass. Now, this is whether you have a balcony or not. But especially if you do not have a balcony and you want to spend money on something else that you're going to really enjoy, many thermal spas on cruise ships actually have like a lounge area, or their heated lounging chairs. They actually have them right at the very front of the ship with beautiful floor to ceiling views. Excursion must-knows. Now, if there is something that you really want to do, make sure that you book this as early as possible, because something unfortunate about Alaska is the fact that these are bucket list cruises. There are bucket list excursions, and these tend to sell out quickly. Now I'm talking about helicopter excursions, dog musher excursions, and even whale watching. Now, a mistake that many people make, unfortunately, just because they do not know about this, is the fact that if you are in Skagway and you decide to do the White Rail Pass excursion that goes up to Yukon and British Columbia, which, by the way, I highly recommend. But something that you should know is you actually need a passport for this, and you have to bring it with you because customs and immigration will come on that train to check. Now, a mistake that I almost made on my last Alaska cruise was staying on board the ship in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. Now, the reason is because many people said, you know what, you're only in Victoria about 5 hours. In our case, it was from 6 p.m. till 11 o'clock p.m. And people said, you know what, Victoria, all of the places are going to be closed. What is the point? It's right at dinner hour. Well, you know what? We didn't listen. And in the end, we decided to go. And by the way, what we did is we headed to the buffet around 5 p.m. So we ate in advance. We got off the ship and we quickly took a shuttle that brought us over to Victoria. And I'm so glad we went. It was absolutely beautiful. We saw a lot of the historical buildings, but you know what? The shops were open. We had a chance to shop in the local stores, go to a couple of the art galleries, eat some of the local treats like beaver tails, and walk around in a beautiful city that we'd love to return to. So while I wish the cruise ship stayed there longer, I would have regretted it if I hadn't gone at all. Now, speaking of things to do in cruise ports, eat in the cruise port. Now, I know you can eat for free or included on the cruise ship, and definitely I would take advantage of all of that. And Alaska is a little bit more expensive, and you have to think about it. The fact is that the cost of running businesses in Alaska is much higher than in other places. So this is a big reason why. But we ate at Tracy's Crab Shack, and although this was not an inexpensive meal, the crab was absolutely delicious, and I'm so glad we did. Pack a swimsuit and at least one pair of shorts. You just never know when it comes to the weather in Alaska. But also, you actually might go swimming on an Alaska cruise. The pools are open, the hot tubs are open. Some ships have indoor pools. But we found ourselves in the hot tub a couple of times. And honestly, if you've got children with you, you will see that that pool, even though it's a little bit cool outside, that pool is pretty happening. When is the best and worst time to go on an Alaska cruise? Well, there is no best and worst time. But there are times that do have their pros and cons. Now, if you go early in the season, like in the month of May, you're going to find that the prices are a little bit lower. One of the things that I really like about cruising to Alaska in May is the fact that, at least for us, it did work out, is that we didn't have a lot of rain and we actually had pretty sunny skies overall. And statistically, this is the case, but not always. Now, when it comes to the summertime in July and August, you typically are going to have warmer weather, although you do have a higher chance of rain. Now, something that I liked about July is the fact that the weather was a little bit warmer, and personally, that is something I like. But the con is that you are going to likely have more mosquitoes, so make sure you bring repellent just in case. And cruising in September and October, well, the weather starts to get a little bit cooler again, but you are going to have less crowds, because something that you should know about Alaska cruises is that even though this is an itinerary that attracts a lot of mature travelers, this is also an itinerary that has become very popular with families and multi-generational travelers. So if you do go during the summertime, there's a higher chance that you're going to be cruising with more kids. Now, one of the things that might surprise you the most, and it's definitely something that surprised me, is even if you're not somebody who's super outdoorsy and you don't absolutely love the cooler weather, Alaska might be a cruise that you do not do only once, even if that is what you expect. You might find that you like it so much that you decide to go back more than once, and each time you go to the different ports, there's always something new to discover. Now, I'm going to leave all of the information about the Lifewell Cruise Ultimate Cruise Planner down below in the description of this video, as well as that video with Alaska Cruise Essentials for you to watch next if you are interested. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know, when are you planning your Alaska cruise, and what ship are you sailing on? And as well, if you have any tips, tricks, or questions, let me know down below in the comments. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Bye for now, and happy cruising.